So what's your name and how old are you?
My name's Shakir and I'm 10 years old.
We're all stuck at home now with coronavirus. So one question I want to ask you is, some people are feeling a little bit anxious about coronavirus and everything that's happening around the world. So what would you say to them, right? This is a question on feelings and empathy. What would you say to them to make them feel a little bit better?
One, so it depends what age you are. So if you're elderly, then yes, you would probably worry more than if you were in your mid-30s or something. But although everyone should, be wary of this. They shouldn't just think, oh, because I'm in my mid-30s, even if I get it, even if I can contract the virus, I'm gonna die, blah blah blah. You should follow the rules from Boris Johnson. Although I'm not him, he is talking some sense at the moment over coronavirus. How if you do have symptoms, you self-isolate, and
When stuck at home, clearly there are some downsides. You can't get out, but what are the upsides, right? If we were trying to think about the silver lining here and make people feel a bit more positive and energized about the situation we find ourselves in as we're following government guidelines, what, what's the upside here?
there's not many, to be honest. I think, but I can name two. I think the first one, it's making our world eco. There's 10 times less planes. Literally, this is very literal. This is not a proper statistic, but there's less flying. There's less driving around.
Yeah.
And you know, um, and the second one is families. Well, if families are all at home stuck together, they can sort of build on a really, really good relationship, and it's also very good skills on being able to deal with your family and just,
Yeah.
well, but it's family time in another sense, all day, every day.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's good for the environment, the whole eco benefits, and this great family and bonding time. I completely agree. And I suppose that's always the way, isn't it? Whenever anything bad happens, and this is something that's really bad that's happened, clearly, still, there's always something positive out of it if you're looking for it, right? If you can think about that glass of water and it being half full rather than half empty, there's always something, and you latched onto two there about eco and family. Which leader do you admire and why?
Probably Nelson Mandela. So he's very well known because of how he made, well, when he was born, South Africa was apartheid, and he brought it to equality, and he went through more than 20 years in jail, and after that he just bounced back up, and to be honest, after today, if it wasn't for Nelson Mandela, it wouldn't be the country it is today.
Style like them, because listening to you, it sounds like it's important that the way the message has got across is helpful. So you can set an example by being in jail for 20 years, dusting yourself off and keeping on going. That in itself, I suppose, is a form of communication. But it sounds like the actual words you use when you have the chance to speak to people or write to people is important as well. So what's a standout communication style here that you think maybe has made them a good leader?
Having a strong sort of passion for it. So I've mentioned passion a lot, but if you got a very bored sort of, if you got a bored tone, but you're talking about like passionate words, people aren't going to want to listen. And I think the reason why people did listen to him was because he brought passion into his voice, he brought passion into his words, he brought passion into everything that he did.
Yeah. And how did he make his listeners feel?
Probably made them feel like, oh, this is wrong and this does need to be changed. And that's what they did think, because if they didn't think that, then he wouldn't have got what he wanted.
If you were the president of the world, what would you do about coronavirus? Now, I appreciate no such title exists. There is no president of the world, but just let's say there was, and you were him or her. What would you do?
And this whole situation of coronavirus is occurring. Okay, I would promote social distancing, and I would only promote self-isolating if you have symptoms. I would make sure people had the right, well, nurses had the right PPE. I would have a look at statistics and see.
And then very interestingly, you started talking about prioritizing countries to support, which let's talk about that some more, because that is such a unique thing. Of if there was a president of the world, that's one thing they'd have to think about, right? Like,
Yeah.
say they had $1 million at their disposal, and they had to choose how to apply it. So I'll ask that to you now, right? Let's say you had $1 million. How do you choose? How do you prioritize what to do with that money? And I'm not looking for an example.
PPE. I would use it on vaccine finding. I would use it on.
But you don't have enough, right? You don't have enough to do on everything that you want. So how do you make the trade-offs? How do you decide? So to begin with, this is a tough question, obviously, right? But to begin with, what are the categories of spend, right? What are the 3, 4, 5 categories that you can think about, first of all?
Medicine, economy, supplies.
Supplies, what kind of supplies?
PPE, personal protective equipment,
Okay.
beds, hospital beds, sort of that stuff.
Okay, hospital supplies, it makes sense. Okay, medicine, economy, hospital supplies.
Money on the economy, and they're spending money on the hospital supplies. I'd say, okay, so I'm going to spend some of my money on helping them find a vaccine, helping them get the drugs and the test tubes and the stuff they need. And then I would look at, all right, then for example, I'll go to England and I think, okay, so England is spending a lot of their money on the economy, and they're spending it on vaccines. So I'm going to help them with hospital supplies.
Right. No, I love it. So you would essentially top up a government's funding on the areas that they need some topping up on, right? So the bits they've got covered, you leave them alone and you just top them up and help them out where they need it. And actually, you're right, $1 billion is nothing compared to what these government budgets are, but it's actually kind of amazing, right? If you apply it in the right spaces where it's really needed, where every dollar matters, then you can still make a big difference in that topping up mentality. I really appreciate you coming on and making some time, answering some questions, some really, really well thought through, considerate responses. I've come to expect nothing less of you, Shakir. Thank you for letting me record it as well. Do you have any questions for me or anything you want to ask me?
No, not particularly. But yeah, I think that's quite interesting answering some of the questions, and it really did actually make me think, and it